swaha tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yo na prachodayat. Hi everybody. I want to talk a little bit about yoga. Yesterday I was on a call with a friend from Norway, a young man, and I found that he had tremendous misunderstandings about yoga. I thought everybody was past this by now, but I guess not. So I want to say something about it, just so that there's no misunderstanding going forward from this point into our next series. And the main thing I want to clarify is the aim of yoga. What is the point of it? What is the goal, actually? Well, to understand the goal, we have to go back to the original source. And of course, that means the Vedas. Now, interestingly enough, the word yoga is not used in the original Vedas or Upanishads. It's only used in what are called āsanas, or supplementary literatures like the Yoga-sūtras, and later Vedic works like Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, which is part of Bharata. So, why is this? Well, first of all, the word yoga comes from the Sanskrit word yukt. Yukt means to link together, to connect. So, for example, if we were hitching a horse to a cart or something like that, or maybe hooking up a camera, we would say, yukt the power to the camera. So that means yoga is not simply an individual matter, but it's a connection between the individual and the self with a capital S, the Supreme. So what does this mean in practice? Well, it means meditation, deep meditation, samādhi. Samādhi happens when the mind is completely absorbed in something. And there are two kinds, basically, of samādhi. One where the person is aware that they are absorbed in something. And the other where the person is completely unaware of it because the absorption is 100%. In other words, they become one with the object. There's no difference anymore. No consciousness of separateness. So in ordinary samādhi, of which there are many different kinds, many different objects, and in yoga, the different objects are the different chakras and their energies, functions, and the consciousness associated with them. But in actual self-realization, the object is only the self, again with a capital S, which means Brahman, the whole, God. But not God as a person, not God as an individual, but God as the universal energy of existence and consciousness that underlies everything. The substrate. The substrate. So this universal energy is called Brahman. And to realize Brahman is the actual aim of yoga. If your yoga process doesn't aim at realizing Brahman, it's not really yoga. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, it's stated, Brahma bhutam prasanatma naso chati nakankshati. What does that mean? When one is in this samādhi connected with Brahma, connected with the whole, with the conscious substrate of existence. Na sochati, na kankshati. He doesn't desire anything, and he doesn't lament either. Because lamentation is the result of desire. Desire happens in time. That means the results of the desire are temporary. They come and go. So until we get the result of our desire, we're lamenting that, oh, I want this, I want that, I really need this and that. And then we may enjoy it for some time. But inevitably, it will pass away. And then we lament, saying, oh, I was enjoying this, and then it went away, and now boo-hoo. This is the state of one who is bound in desire. With desire comes karma, because there is an I. There is a person, an individual who wants this thing. And they're not free. Everything that we desire, everything that we want, has a price. And that price is called karma. As long as we identify something as mine, as long as we identify the self as I, and the things that we want as our possessions, then there's karma, because the karma has an address. There's a very nice sutta on this by the Buddha, where the Buddha is saying, but what if there's no self, or no I, meaning no person, no ego? And the person who's talking with him is trying to understand and not getting it. So he says, consider this. Suppose there is a cottage, and in the wall of the cottage there's a window, and through the window is coming the sun. So where does the sunlight fall? Where does it land? And so he says, well, I guess on the opposite wall or the floor of the cottage. And then the Buddha says, but what if there was no wall or floor? Then where would it land? And he says, well, if there was no wall or floor, I guess it would land on the earth. And then Buddha says, well, what if there's no earth? And then he says, I guess it would land on the ocean. And here, these are all similes, metaphors for different states of consciousness. A wall means an individual. I take one part of the universal existence and I wall it off from the others. And I say, this is me, this is mine. But actually, of course, in the substrate, in Brahman, there is no such thing. That wall is only a fictitious imagination. So when we fabricate these boundaries, that doesn't mean they really exist. They exist only for us. So in this way, when the wall is removed, then it will fall on the earth. So maybe it doesn't really fall on the I, the ego, the false self. Maybe it falls on the earth, which means the body. If the mind isn't real, if our sense of individuality is a fabrication, well, then maybe the body is real, and so the karma comes on the body. But then the Buddha says, well, what if we take that away? What's left? The ocean, the water. And the water means the underlying substrate of unconditioned awareness, Brahman. So, if the karma has nothing to land on, it doesn't land. It has nowhere to hit, no address to be delivered to. Knock, 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 hello, here's your karma, sir. No, there's no address. There's nobody home. So when we get rid of the ego, we become free of karma and suffering, because all suffering is karma. In fact, karma is mostly suffering. Yeah, there's a little enjoyment there, but it's very transitory. So if you're doing yoga to get enjoyment, a nice body, better sex life, good health, and so on like that, try to understand this is only creating karma and you're going to have to suffer for it in the future. But if you're doing yoga to be relieved of all suffering, to be relieved of all karma, to get rid of the small self, the ego, the I, and realize the great self, Brahman. That is the actual aim of yoga. That is the actual aim of meditation. That is the actual aim of life. Bhur Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat.